Let's talk about what nobody wants to talk about. Who here has ever failed? Who's here has failed miserably at something you wanted to achieve? When you failed, why did you fail? Didn't have enough time, didn't have the right technology, didn't have the money, didn't have the contacts, had the wrong people. The people said we had the wrong leader. Everything you people have told me, I didn't have the technology, I didn't have the right contacts, I didn't have the time, I didn't have money. Everything you've told me, I didn't have enough Supreme Court justices. Those are resources. And so you're telling me I failed because I didn't have the resources. And I'm here to tell you what you already know. Resources are never the problem. It's a lack of resourcefulness is why you failed. Because the ultimate resources are emotional states. If you're creative enough, can you find the answer? Yes or no? If you're determined enough, can you find the breakthrough? Yes or no? If you're passionate and loving enough, can you get someone to help you? Yes or no? If there's no way that you're committed, can you find the money even if you don't have it? Yes or no? So I said creativity, decisiveness, passion, honesty, sincerity, love. These are the ultimate human resources. And when you engage these resources, you can get any other resource on earth. And I said, so you told me all the resources you're missing and you hypnotize yourself into believing that you don't have what you want because you don't have the resources, when the most successful people in history had no resources, but they were incredibly resourceful, so they got the resources. Resourcefulness is the ultimate resource. And if you don't have what you want, stop telling yourself the story because you don't have the money, you don't have the time. That's bullshit. It's because you haven't committed yourself where you would burn your boats. If you want to take the fucking island, burn your fucking boats, and you will take the island, because people, when they're going to either die or succeed, tend to succeed. But most of us give ourselves a way out, and that's why we don't have what we want. So if you and I really want to know what's going to take to get your dream and make it real, it's to stop all the things you told yourself that aren't. And I'm here to tell you what I said at the top of our discussion. 80% of success is psychology and 20% is mechanics. That's true of running your business. That's true of your intimate relationship. That's true of your body. That's true in your level of happiness. So you got to know the 20% because that gives you the edge, right? Those strategies. But you got to know the psychology. If you're in business right now, there's a few things. The chokehold on the growth of your business is you. It is not your people. It is the leader of this organization. The leader is the chokehold. And the chokehold comes in one of two forms. Your psychology. You think you've tried everything. You've tried everything but what fucking works. Or it's a skill that you're missing. Like you really are incredible at writing code, but you don't know shit about accounting and finance, and it's eating your business alive. Because I got to tell you, 96% of all businesses in a 10-year period of time go under. Only 4% make it. By the way, make it doesn't mean that you succeed and have any money. It just means you're still standing. 4%. And by the way, after 10 years, you're set, right? There's no more challenges. If you got in a business and you're in it right now, I love you, I respect you as a brother or sister, and I know you're a crazy son of a bitch just like me. You have to be. Who gets in a sport where the longer you play, the more likely you die? You're a gladiator if you're in business. A gladiator goes out there and they know every time I go out I can die, and the longer I stay in the game, the more likely I die, but every day they go out to win. That takes an incredible psychology. But in that psychology, we bump onto limits, and that's what you got to shift. And if your psychology is solid, you got to say, where are the skills I'm missing? Because that's equally important. If you don't know how to market in the world we're in today, if you don't know the cutting edge of marketing, I'm only here today. I have the privilege to be with you here. I created a brand, and that's why I have the privilege to serve you. But that brand came because I realized early in my career, I got the best ideas in the world, but they're going to die on my lips unless I can market them, unless I can build a brand. It is the most important thing today because the world is made up of commodities. The world is so competitive. If you're a commodity, if you're a race for the lowest price, you will be out of business within 10 years, probably more like 2 to 5. You have to have something that separates you from everybody else on earth, and until you find out that something, you will be stressed and you will be struggling. But everybody has it, or anybody can create it. That's my expertise. My companies, I started with 0. We do more than 5 billion with a B per year, my companies, combined. How the did you do that when it's not even your focus? We all have a set of belief systems, different kinds of beliefs, about if something happens, then it means something else. So for example, do we have rules for like what people do if they love us, yes or no? So if a person loves you, then they what? They respect you. And by the way, does this person also then have a set of rules for if you respect them, then you, and they have to look at them a certain way, don't raise your voice. If you respect me, then you don't raise your voice. If you respect me, then you tell me the truth. If you respect me, you follow what I'm saying here? And you know, the problem is all these rules are unconscious. What else? If a person loves you, they what? Trust you. Good. If a person loves you, then they communicate. If a person loves you, then they compromise. Now, some people's rules are, never in life do you compromise. To compromise is to give up your integrity. Some people's idea of integrity is if you compromise, then you have no integrity. A lot of us have rules that are absolutely totally unfair to us. For example, my favorite program that I do is all on this destiny technology I developed, where I ask the question constantly, what makes people do what they do? And I started asking that question more intensely after a guy embezzled $250,000 from me, ran me $758,000 in debt. So I came up with all these incredible distinctions, and I refined them the last 3 or 4 years by doing a research project. My research project is called Date with Destiny. What it is the most powerful program I do. I take only 100 people at a time. I've been doing this now for about 2.5 years. And before they even get there, I get about 18 pages from them on every emotion they ever feel, what triggers it for them, what they believe is most important in life, what they think their experiences of life were, and I analyze every single thing about this person I can. And we bring them in here and we find out what their core beliefs and values and rules are. Because that determines how you interpret your life, how you feel about it. Then we change that and change their whole life. So for example, if your highest value in life was security, you're going to make decisions differently than if your number one value is adventure, right? Well, if you had somebody's highest value security, the last one was adventure, one day you swap them, it might change their personality a little bit. It changes everything. Everything. And we don't do it haphazardly. We find out what they want in their life, and we make sure their values are consistent with what they want. Because most people are being pulled in 2 different directions, right? They want to like be successful and they don't want to ever be rejected. Guess again. And most people are trying to meet 2 masters that can't be met, so they get pulled apart and they sabotage a lot of stuff. But the biggest challenge for people, I think, is their rules. Most people in life have wired their brain where it's really, really hard to feel good. Every upset you've ever had or you ever will have with another human being is a rules upset. You are not upset with a human being. You're upset with their rules because you have a different set of rules. So every upset you've ever had with another human being has been a rules upset. And whether we get pain or whether we get pleasure in any moment is not based on what happens, but our giving ourselves that pain and pleasure based upon our rules.
People don't have enough rules in their life for themselves. So for instance, I get out of bed in 10 minutes or less. Doesn't matter. And I don't want to. That's why I have the rule. Because I went through,
callous your mind.
Literally, I went through a period where I would lay in bed for 3 to 4 hours, awash in shame at my inability to get out of bed. And it just embarrassed me. And so I felt badly about myself. So I wanted to make a change. So I knew that I needed a bright line. So bright line, 10 minutes or less, you get out of bed as soon as you realize you're awake. That's it. So, and the rule is more specific. It's like I have to have had at least 5 hours of sleep. But once you put the rule in place, then you just live by it. And that's how you earn credibility. Like right now, I don't feel the way telling you that I want to feel. This is a good moment. He's on my team. I'm pointing at him. This is a good moment. So I'm saying this and I don't feel good about saying it. Why? Because today, I don't know what happened. I got out of bed in 11 minutes and I was so
You literally time it?
Oh yeah.
I mean, from waking up to actually physically getting out of the bed?
Correct. My feet must be on the floor and I must be standing up before it ticks over into the 11th minute. And today, I don't know what happened. I was aware of the time. I knew I needed to get up. And for whatever reason, one of the minutes just went faster than I thought. When I looked back, I was like, damn it. And so
I'm surprised you even made it here today then.
Right? So now this comes into like knowing how to handle something like that. Like if you totally fall apart because you don't live up to one of your rules, you're violating another one of my rules, which is don't do anything that doesn't move you towards your goals. So it's like, yes, it is a part of my identity to confess this. So because I'm talking about it, I want to say it now to an audience. It's the only thing that will allow me to reset and be able to feel good about it again, because I don't lie. When I miss it, I own it.
Well, look, if your biggest problem is it took you 11 minutes to get out of bed.
Sadly, that's not my biggest problem.
This is a high quality problem.
Right. Yes, very true. But my thing is people don't have the rules. And so I have other rules, for instance. I wear a size 32 pant. That's it. And so
no matter what your waist is.
No. I won't let my waist get out of line with that. So I use the pants as a way to guide. Now I would go down if I got so lean that I was, a 31. That's not a problem. But I'm not going to allow myself to go up. And it's super tempting, like especially around Christmas. I don't try to hold abs through the winter. So during Christmas, like right now, I do not have abs. So, and I'm totally fine with that. I switch a different part of my mentality. During the holidays, my wife and I definitely celebrate with food, and it's amazing, and I love it the most. So, but if that celebration took me up to like 32s don't fit anymore, I got to cut back because I have a rule. So it's like, that's how I keep myself in a lane. I keep myself from getting into trouble. I know the things that I accept for myself and what I don't accept for myself. And it's all like stated. It's very clear.
Stop doing the things that you know are wrong that you could stop doing. Right? So it's a fairly limited attempt. First of all, we're not going to say that you know what the good is or what the truth is in any ultimate sense. But we will presume that there are things that you're doing that for one reason or another you know are not in your best interests. There's something about them that you just know you should stop. They're kind of self-evident to you. Other things you're going to be doubtful about. You're not going to know which way is up and which way is down. But there are things that you're doing that you know you shouldn't do. Now, some of those you won't stop doing for whatever reason. You don't have the discipline, or maybe there's a secondary payoff, or you don't believe it's necessary, or it's too much of a sacrifice, or you're angry or resentful or afraid. Who knows? So forget about those for now. But there's another subset that you could stop doing. It might be a little thing. Well, that's fine. Stop doing it and see what happens. And what will happen is your vision will clear a little bit. And then something else will pop up in your field of apprehension that you will also know you should stop doing, and that you could stop doing because you've strengthened yourself a bit by stopping doing the particular stupid thing that you were doing before. That just puts you together a little bit more. And you could do that repeatedly for an indefinite period of time. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to ever be able to formulate a clear and final picture of what constitutes the truth and the good. But it does mean that you'll be able to continually move away from what's untruth and what's bad. And, that's not a bad start.
This is a very crucial concept for me and for virtually all of us. It's this idea of taking your life in your own hands and being the kind of person that you choose to be, and understanding that everything that comes your way is an opportunity, is a blessing. And it wasn't until I learned how to celebrate virtually everything that came my way that I was able to transcend it. You see, everything that was given to us by God, whatever that is perfect. No one can deny the mountains are perfect, and the rivers are perfect, and the birds are perfect, and the hippopotamuses are perfect, and so on. This is just what was given to us. Everything else that you have on our planet, that we have on our planet, comes about as a result of thinking. Thought makes it so. All right? This microphone comes about as a result of thinking. Somebody imagines it. Somebody then tells somebody else, and it creates it. The dress that you're wearing, this shirt that the shoes that you have, the stage, these cameras. Everything that you see that wasn't given to us was created by man as a result of the way that we think, So what gets inside of us as a cell comes about as a result of the way that we choose to think in our lives. Very important principle to understand, because once you get a hold of thinking and that it creates everything that you have in your life, you can change and make it as absolutely perfect as you want it to be, because thought makes it so.
I started feeling like, I think everybody knows, I've moved my whole life on instinct, you know. I feel like now it's time to let the show go. I feel like it's time to move on because I've grown as much as I can grow. When I've grown as much as I can grow in a space, that's my instinct to move.
We have more power to influence our thoughts and our beliefs. And so there are a lot of tools and techniques out there that are resources. Like when I grew up, we didn't have any, we had no money, right? I had no education because I was very learning challenged. I didn't know anybody, right? So I feel like it's not, when people are, that's where they'll go though. When there's a stopgap between where they are and where they want to be, they'll say, oh, I don't have the money, or I don't have the education, or I don't have the intelligence, I don't have the network, or anything else like that. And you know, what you know, as for all incredible success you've had and the value you've created for the world, is that it's not about resources, right? Because we know a lot of people who didn't have any resources that were able to impact the world. It's about our internal resources. And what I'm saying is optimizing our environment, optimizing our behaviors, our capabilities, our beliefs and our values, and our identity, right? At the highest level, our identity, because you can't just change your belief or your values or your behavior even if you don't believe you're that kind of person. You know, that's why I kind of always go to the superhero mythos, because I want people to claim that identity. I call it the superhero you, that version of ourselves, that we're not waiting for Superman or Batman or Wonder Woman. It's like, you are Wonder Woman, you are Batman, you are Superman. It's just we have to commit ourselves to be able to unleashing that.
Number one, specify your damn goals. Because how are you going to hit something if you don't know what it is? That isn't going to happen. And often people won't specify their goals too because they don't like to specify conditions for failure. So if you keep yourself all vague and foggy, which is real easy because that's just a matter of not doing as well, then you don't know when you fail. And people might say, well, I really don't want to know when I fail because that's painful. So I'll keep myself blind about when I fail. That's fine, except you'll fail all the time then. You just won't know it until you've failed so badly that you're done. And that can easily happen by the time you're 40. So I would recommend that you don't let that happen. So that's willful blindness, right? You could have known, but you chose not to. Okay, so once you get your goal structure set up, you think, okay, if I could have this life, looks like that might be worth living, despite the fact that it's going to be, you know, anxiety provoking and threatening, and there's going to be some suffering and loss involved and all of that. Obviously, the goal is to have a vision for your life such that, all things considered, that justifies your effort. Okay, so then what do? Well, then you turn down to the micro routines. It's like, okay, well, this is what I'm aiming for. How does that instantiate itself day to day, week to week, month to month? And that's where something like a schedule can be unbelievably useful. Google Calendar. It's like, make a damn schedule and stick to it. Okay, so what's the rule with the schedule? It's not a bloody prison. That's the first thing that people do wrong. They say, well, I don't like to follow a schedule. It's like, well, what kind of schedule are you setting up? Well, I have to do this, then I have to do this, then I have to do this, you know, and then I just go play video games, because who wants to do all these things that I have to do? It's like, wrong. Set the damn schedule up so that you have the day you want. That's the trick. It's like, okay, I've got tomorrow. If I was going to set it up so it was the best possible day I could have, practically speaking, what would it look like? Well, then you schedule that. And obviously there's a bit of responsibility that's going to go along with that, because if you have any sense, one of the things that you're going to insist upon is that at the end of the day, you're not in worse shape than you were than at the beginning of the day, right? Because that's a stupid day.
The road to success is always under construction. This life ain't set up to be smooth. You combat negativity and you combat discouragement with gratitude. It's the one way to combat discouragement is with gratitude. What messes you up is you focus on the thing that's not happening. And that causes you to get discouraged. So whenever you get discouraged, you have to change your focus from what's not happening to what has happened. And it straightens you out immediately. Because what causes the downslide is if you get wrapped up into what ain't happening, it get ugly, man. And it just snowballs. But you have to focus on gratitude. People understand how serious gratitude is. You know, it's a serious principle of success. It's hard to be miserable and grateful at the same time. You know, I learned this at my mother's funeral, man, which was like the roughest. That week of my life was like chaotic, man. I thought I was gonna die. My mama passed. I was 40. I didn't do good, man. I thought I was crumbling. I really, man, I didn't know what that was, man. The most important person to me was gone. I was crushed. I thought I was gonna die. And at the funeral, my mother was a Sunday school teacher for 40 years. And I'm devastated. My mother's in a casket. That's just not the picture I ever wanted to see, right? And I was struggling with her being up there. And the preacher stood up and he said, I know y'all hurting. I got 2 brothers and 2 sisters. He said, but I want y'all to look around at this church. My mama had been a Sunday school teacher for 40 years. Church was packed. It was packed. He said, the overflow room is full. He said, we've put up projector screens in the parking lot. We don't do that on Easter. We just set up projector screens in the parking lot because so many people then came to see your mother off.
Prepare yourself for success. Life seemingly does not wish to waste success on the unprepared. Life says, why waste a fortune on this person? They're not prepared to do the right things with it. They're not prepared to use it wise. If a fortune was bestowed upon this unprepared person, it would probably be wasted. The people that could have been touched won't be touched. What could have been done won't be done because this fortune will have been wasted on the unprepared person. So not only look for fortune, not only look for the promise, but prepare yourself and ask of yourself, what can I do to make myself ready? Because remember, life was designed not to give us what we want, not to give us what we need, but life was designed to give us what we deserve. Every value in life must be paid for, and those that pay are the ones that get it. It says those that give receive. Someone says, I wish to receive, I wish to receive. You don't have to concentrate on receiving. Just become a good giver. It says those that search will find. Someone says, well, I need to find some good ideas to help change my life for the future. Then to find good ideas, that doesn't come because you need them, it comes because you search for them. If you want good ideas, you got to go after them. You got to go to the class, you got to go to the workshop, you got to go to the training, go to the book, right? You got to go to the journal, right? Go where good ideas are being taught, go searching, go looking. Because good ideas are not going to be wasted on those that are not seeking, searching, well prepared. So prepare yourself to be ready for fortune when it comes, to be ready for challenge when it comes, to be ready for opportunity when it comes.
That success is not something that you can get in life. Success is an inner process. Success is something that you bring to everything you do in your life. It isn't something you get out of what you do. And when you get that, and you learn how to get the junk out and advance confidently, doing what makes the most amount of sense to you based on your inner signals and the one issue of morality, which is you never interfere with anybody else's right to do the same. Each person has their own right to advance confidently in the direction of their own dreams. And when you violate that, you're violating the principle of the universe, the essence of the universe, which is cooperation and harmony. Then success will begin to chase you, and it will come into your life and arrive in your life in amounts that you never dreamt of before, that you never dreamt of. Things will start happening to you that you would never imagine before. I'm working on a book right now that's going to be called You'll See It When You Believe It. And when you start believing in some of these principles, you'll start seeing things that you were blind to for so long. When you were back here in the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the 5, when you were moving away from yourself, as long as you're moving back towards your universal essence, your harmony with yourself, your cooperation with the rest, things will start happening in ways that you never dreamt of. Jung called it synchronicity. And it's a term that we use to explain how unexplainable coincidences sort of happen in our life. And how come these things happen? I'm going to share a couple of those with you before we leave. The quality versus appearance in your life means that you get that inner candle flame working in a way that gives you quality, independent of what other people think of you. Maslow, in defining self-actualizing, no-limit people, said they are independent of the good opinion of other people.
There's some things that you can do that are based on the kingdom system that will give you the success and the prosperity that you need in the midst of that crisis. A couple of things about crisis to write down. Number one, crisis is the incubator of creativity. Most of the time, we're not creative until something bad happens. When things fall apart, it makes us think outside the box. Secondly, crisis demands a new way of thinking about old problem. An old problem is you got to pay your mortgage. Problem is the source of income that you used to pay it with has been dried up. But the old problem hasn't gone away. You still got to pay your mortgage. So what you got to do now is find a new way to generate income to pay the old problem. So crisis actually forces you to think about new ways to solving old problems. Thirdly, crisis is an opportunity to improve and advance over old ideas. Sometimes the only way for you to move on is for something to happen to push you. And many times we don't grow until we have to. So crisis comes many times to improve us because we've been stuck in a place too long. And number five, crisis comes also to produce growth, and it also produces a sense of development. It makes you develop new approaches to life. Crisis creates new opportunities. It's amazing when we look at the world today, every progressive invention came out of a problem. And that's because crisis makes you develop and think in new ways. Number seven is very important. Crisis produces and manifests true leadership ability.
Part of what feeds that hunger. You've got to develop a sense of urgency. Aurelia said, stop living your life like you have 1,000 years to live. In life, you're either here today and you're gone today. If there's something that you want to do and you can't do it all at one time, do just a little bit of it. I like what Robert Schuller says. He said, by the yard it's hard, but inch by inch, anything is a cinch. Do just a little bit of it. A friend of mine, Bobby Kerr, used to be a roommate. Bobby wanted to go into the area of public relations. He loved working with the public. Young lady he wanted to marry named Clarice. Bobby was a great procrastinator. Pretty soon the job where Bobby worked, they transferred him to another location. He went out to celebrate with the people on that new job site. And Bobby suffered a massive heart attack and died. Bobby didn't drink and didn't smoke, was under 40, and he died. Ask your question, how much time do you have left? How much time do you have left? When you start thinking about that, we don't know. We don't know. Bobby took all the greatness and all of the talent and all of his abilities to his grave with him. One of the things he could have put in parenthesis under his name, he didn't use all his stuff. Most of us do that. Most of us don't use the stuff that we have brought into the universe. And we want to make a conscious, deliberate, determined effort to start living life with a sense of urgency and using what we've got, using ourselves up, sharing what we brought into the universe to share. Because if we don't, nobody else will. Stop wasting valuable time, knowing that if we begin to live our lives as if each day were our last, our lives will take on a whole new meaning. It take on a whole new expression, valuing each moment that we are blessed with.
So many questions are not a matter of morality. It's a question of being careless or careful, being cautious rather than reckless, but not too cautious. So it's kind of an interesting challenge. If you were so cautious driving on a two-way highway, every time a car came your way, you were troubled about thinking whether or not he was going to stay on his side of the line, that you pulled off the road, wait for him to pass, then got back on the road and continued your journey. We would call that a bit too cautious. It may take you 2 or 3 days to get to your destination. So you say somehow when the traffic's coming your way on a two-way highway, you must trust at least the law of averages that says I have a pretty good chance of arriving, even though there's not a guarantee that 1 out of 1,000 coming my way, I'll cross the line and it'll be the end. So we do have to be cautious but not too cautious and let those daily experiences lead us into a better life, a better month, a better year. I arrived on an airplane flight once and the flight attendant came on and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, you have now completed the safest part of your journey. From now on, it gets dangerous. Fasten your seatbelt." I thought that was interesting. You've now completed the safest part of your journey. According to statistics, for the miles covered, it's the safest way to go. 4 major lessons in life to learn. I've got my first book finished, came out a couple of weeks ago. This is in it, the 4 major lessons in life to learn. Here they are. Number 1, learn how to handle the winters. That's lesson 1. They come right after falls, with regularity. Some are long, and some are short, and some are hard, and some are easy, but they keep coming. You must learn to handle the nights. They come right after days. You must learn to handle difficulty. It comes right after opportunity. You must learn to handle recessions. They always follow progressions. For the last 6,000. See, it isn't going to change. The lesson you must learn is how to handle it. And there's all kinds of winters, right? The winter when you can't figure it out. The winter when it all goes smash. The winter when it turns belly up. The winter when it won't work, when you've run out of money and you've got a broken heart. See, those are winter times. There's all kinds. Economic winters, social winters, personal winters. When your heart is smashed in 1,000 pieces and the nights are unusually long, your prayers seem to go no higher than your head. It's wintertime. Barbara Streisand sings, "It used to be so natural to talk about forever, but used to be's don't count anymore. They just lay on the floor till we sweep them away. You don't sing me love songs, and you don't say you need me, and you don't bring me flowers anymore." A song of winter. But see, the disappointments come. Those are normal. That's part of life. But the question is, how do you handle it? How do you handle the coming winters and the disappointments and the downtimes? Well, you can't get rid of January by tearing it off the calendar. But here's what you can do. You can get stronger, you can get wiser, and you can get better. The winters won't change, but you can. And that's how life changes for you. See, before I understood, when it was winter, I used to wish it was summer. I didn't understand. When it was hard, I used to wish it was easy. I didn't know. And then Mr. Schoaf gave me a part of his very unique philosophy when he said, "Don't wish it was easier, wish you were better." See, that triggered my whole life change. Don't wish for less problems. Wish for more skills. Don't wish for less challenge. Wish for more wisdom. That's the key. So that's lesson 1. Learn how to handle the winters. Here's lesson 2. Learn how to take advantage of the spring. That's the second one. Spring is called opportunity. And spring follows winter. What a great place for it. If you were going to put it somewhere, that'd be the place to put it, right after winter. And pray tell, how often does spring follow winter? Every year with regularity, 6,000. You can almost count on it. See, opportunity always comes. Days follow nights. Isn't that terrific? Opportunity follows difficulty. But here's what you must learn to do. Underline these 2 words in that key phrase. Take advantage. Underline those 2. You must learn to take advantage of the spring. See, just because spring rolls around is no sign you're going to look good come fall. You gotta do something with it. In fact, you have to get good at one of 2 things in life. Planting in the spring or begging in the fall. Or get somebody to do it for you. See, those are about the only alternatives. Now here's what else you must do. Take advantage of the springs quickly, because there's only a few. Just a handful of springs have been handed to each of us. They don't come forever. Life is fairly brief. So you got to read every book you can get your hands on what to do with your springs while they're here. And take advantage, they soon run out. The Beatles wrote, "Life is so short." And for John Lennon, it was extra short. But life is brief. Elton John sings, "She lived her life like a candle in the wind." It's brief. So whatever you're going to do with your life, you got to get at it. Don't just let the springs pass. Here's the third major lesson in life to learn. Learn how to protect your crops all summer. You got to take care of what you start. Sure enough, as soon as you've planted your garden in the spring, the busy bugs and the noxious weeds are out to take it. And here's the next bit of truth. They will take it unless you prevent it. And that's the third major skill to learn. You've got to learn to prevent the intruder from taking all the good you start. It's one of the challenges. Here's two key phrases under number 3. First one, all good will be attacked. On this planet. Maybe not the next one we get to, but on this one, all good will be attacked. Every garden will be invaded. Not to think so is naive. And here's the second phrase. All values must be defended. Political values, social values, community values, family values, marriage values, friendship values, business values. Every garden must be tended all summer. Third major lesson. Now here's number 4. Fourth major lesson in life to learn. Learn how to reap in the fall without complaint. Learn to reap come harvest time without complaint. Take full responsibility for what happens to you. It's one of the highest forms of human maturity, accepting full responsibility. It's the day you know you've passed from childhood to adulthood, the day you accept full responsibility. And another note, learn to reap in the fall without apology. Without apology if you do well, and without complaint if you don't. That's maturity. I used to have that long list of reasons why I wasn't doing well. To explain. You got to explain, right? Otherwise you're going to look bad. I used to have this funny list called Reasons for Not Looking Good. I used to blame the government. I mean, you can believe that or not. It was at the top of my list. I had a lecture second to none. The government. That was on my list. I used to blame taxes. Look what you got left after they take everything. And they expect you to do well. That was on my list there. Prices, that one's easy, right? You walk into the supermarket with $20, come out with a little half bag. So I had that on my list. I used to blame the weather. I blamed the traffic. I used to blame my car. I blamed the manufacturers. I used to blame the company. I blamed company policy. I used to blame the training program. I blame my negative relatives. They were always putting me down. I blame my cynical neighbors. They're just selfish, looking out for themselves. Won't loan you money? They were on my list. I used to blame the economy.
I blame the community. That's a pretty good list for not doing well, isn't it? I thought it was good. I'll never forget one day, Mr. Schoaf was very kind, but he was also very blunt, and this was no exception. And I'm glad he was blunt. There's a lot of things I'd have missed if he hadn't have been blunt. One day, with sort of a curious look on his face, he said, "Jim, just out of curiosity, tell me, how come you haven't done well up until now?" Excellent question. I thought, well, so I won't look too bad, I'll go through my list. And this list I just gave you, I put that on him. And he was very patient. He let me go through the whole thing, the government, the weather. I went through this whole thing. When I finished, he looked my list over very carefully. He said, "Mr. Rohn, big problem with your list. You ain't on it." How brilliant. When I went to work for him a few months later, I learned very quickly to tear up my list, reasons for not doing well, and I threw it away. And I got me a fresh piece of paper. And I put one word on it. Me. There's a Black Heritage spiritual that says it's not my mother nor my father, nor my brother nor my sister, but it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer.